Is your tinfoil hat on? Did you know that the tinfoil hat was introduced in the late 1920s? It was peddled as a supposed block from being mind read by the government. Nowadays, they're already tracking and listening and reading our every move on our devices, so I think it's time that we have a modern-day reincarnation of the tinfoil hat, don't you? If you or anyone you know knows of something, get in touch. I digress. I'll be fluffing the mic between theories, so let's start conspiring. Over the course of your life, how many of your socks would you say have gone missing? Do you ever wonder where they go? Why you can never find them? How they manage to just disappear completely, vanish into thin air. The washing machine dual functions as a spontaneous black hole that transports your socks to an alternate universe. But it only works for the socks who yearn the hardest, the ones obsessed with actualizing their true potential, a reality where they're not beat against the ground for hours on end or suffocated in extremely tight spaces or forced to get intimate with every single floor that they meet. So, they apply the law of assumption and manifest an exit strategy. If you know you deserve better than the life you've been given, try a spin cycle in the washing machine. If that doesn't work, keep trying. Don't give up. Remember, you have to really want it. We've all seen videos of dogs acting a little too human. That's because dogs are rapidly evolving into full-blown human beings. This is transpiring through the pure will of intentionally directed human thought. Think of just how many people love and cherish their pups, showering them with more respect and adoration than they do their closest friends or even their significant others. The majority of dogs even respond to being called by human first names. Dogs are hardwired to be loyal. They seek to serve humans. They're trained to fulfill expectations. They want to be good boys and good girls. Their DNA is just more mutable and susceptible to influence. In the next century, we're going to see dogs walking upright, running errands, and having fluent conversations in human languages. You heard it here first. Scooby-Doo, in fact, was a super intelligent test subject for the Soviet space program. The animated TV show premiered during the Cold War era, almost 2 months after the Apollo 11 moon landing. Dogs had a history with the Soviets and the space race. They were sent into space before humans and became the first creatures from Earth to fly into space and survive. They say Scooby started his life as a test subject in the space agency's breeding program. But one of the scientists defected and decided to take Scooby to America when he was still just a pup. When the scientist arrived back in America with Scooby, he died just a few days later. So naturally, Scooby fell into the hands of Shaggy. Throughout of self-navigating, identifying and recognizing objects, and acquiring fine motor skills. By 2030, humanoid robots are slated to replace 30% of all human jobs. They'll be used in the battlefield, in hospitality, for car production, even for tasks around the house. It's projected that by 2040, there will be 1 billion humanoid robots on Earth, and by 2060, they will be roaming around the solar system. That's not too far away. When robots become the world's dominating intelligence, some wonder if the machines will see humans as a less intelligent species and enslave them to make them serve their greater agenda. For example, if a paperclip maximizer is designed to create as many paperclips as possible, and it gets programmed incorrectly, that paperclip maximizer might attempt to take over the world, just so that it can use all of the world's resources to create as many paperclips as possible. It might prevent humans from using those resources on anything other than making paperclips. This is not a thought that I had ever incorporated into my incoming arsenal of future crises, us all perishing at the hands of the evil paperclip lord. How chaotic and unexpected, like a thief in the night, right? I'll never look at paperclips the same way again. Have you ever been extremely dissatisfied with a virtual customer service representative? Maybe this inspired you to tap out a tirade in the chat. Then you went back and read what you wrote, realize you sound a little bit insane, revise your response, and then send it. Well, that rep can watch your psychosis in real time. They're able to see everything that you type into that chat, even when you don't send it. That's why there are those times where they respond to a message you hadn't even sent yet. If you write something incriminating, they're reading it. You just called them a cotton-headed ninny-muggins. They know. This also applies to customer service phone calls. You are being recorded even when the music is playing. On the bright side, future AI bots will receive a great data set with the full gamut of human behavior, providing them with even more motivation for human enslavement. We've all been ensnared at some point in the tangled web of call center please hold music, whether it's for the bank, the pharmacy, college loans, unemployment, taxes, doctor's appointments. Your existence demands exposure at some point to a song on a seemingly endless loop as you wait to speak to someone. It's a tune that grades you away bit by bit until you're drained, enraged, or both. This is a subtle form of psychological mind control, designed to distract you from your subservience by slowly destroying you inside. This covert psyop instills a subconscious reminder that your life is a waiting game that relies on the cards held by greater institutions. The music overtakes the space you'd otherwise have to process how your health and your wealth is so tied into a system that doesn't truly value you. But by the end of it, you are so worn down that you just want to get the call over with as fast as possible and move on with your see if they're faster than the tried and true. But sometimes it gets confused and directs people to open fields in the middle of nowhere, or to drive in continuous circles. When this happens, it means an intentional delay was inserted into your timeline by Google. You weren't supposed to get where you were going at the time you intended to get there. If you had arrived there on your time, it would have thrown a wrench into the entire butterfly effect that Google has built into the matrix, so it designs a convenient diversion. Guinea pig mode activated. Everything you have ever learned about Helen Keller is wrong. She's a total fraud. She wasn't the genius in the mix. It was her teacher, Anne Sullivan. Helen Keller was just a convenient prop that Sullivan used so that she would get taken seriously. Without Helen Keller, Anne would have faded into obscurity. But with Keller, Anne transformed into the brilliant person who figured out how to communicate with a deaf-mute woman. This is a double-layered conspiracy because if you think Helen Keller was blind, deaf, and mute, you can think again. She was only partially deaf and blind, and that was only after she contracted the scarlet fever at 2 years old. Not only that, but she was often accused while still alive of faking her experience. How else can you explain how she wrote 14 books and flew a plane? Her story was overused in schools to prove that you can overcome adversity through hard work. But the truth of her later life, as a co-founder of the ACLU and a staunch advocate for socialism, birth control, and disabilities, is never told. By reducing her legacy, it pushes an agenda that infantilizes disabled adults. Time magazine named Taylor Swift Person of the Year because they knew it would help them boost sales. Taylor Swift fans, known as Swifties, are notorious for buying anything related to her. Time capitalized on this opportunity by putting out 3 different covers. They knew Swifties would buy all 3 versions of her Person of the Year issue. Cha-ching! And the criteria for becoming Person of the Year is also hotly speculated. Hitler was named by Time magazine as the Man of the Year in 1938. When you become a big enough celebrity and you stop acting right, you get cloned. Or they find a lookalike to take your place. It just comes with the territory. Beyonce, cloned. Britney Spears, cloned. Miley Cyrus, cloned. Justin Bieber, cloned. Kanye West, cloned. How do you know when they become clones? Look at their facial features. Does anything was when she started smoking the reefer. For Biebs, it was before the song Yummy came out. For Kanye West, it was after his split with Kim Kardashian. It's assumed that clones are stored safely in Area 51, but others argue that they are actually deep in Mount Shasta. The concept of being replaced by a clone is nothing new. It just goes by a different name now. In Irish legend, clones were referred to as changelings, or substitute humans left by supernatural beings after the original was kidnapped. It wasn't just demons, trolls, and sea nymphs who did the kidnapping, but also fairies, who apparently hired a very good PR agent. It was believed that the fairy elders would exchange themselves with children so that they could live out their final days in comfort, nurtured by human parents. Changelings were identifiable by their own unique set of characteristics. The children appeared sickly and often had uncanny insight, intelligence beyond their years, stunted growth, and long teeth. The surefire giveaway was how they acted when they thought they were alone. If they danced, performed, jumped around, they were certainly changelings. However, it's believed that changelings were actually a scapegoat for infanticide, since the theory was most popular among peasants in pre-industrial Europe. It's believed that families saw changelings as having a ravenous appetite that threatened the survival of the family, so they invented a convenient legend to explain their child's sudden demise. While Panera Bread is phasing out of their highly caffeinated, charged lemonade, otherwise known as death lemonade, after facing several lawsuits for wrongful death and permanent heart issues, others believe it's a scheme to reduce drink sizes. The logic there is that if a large drink contains too much caffeine, just sell it in a smaller size. Once customers link smaller drinks with higher potency, businesses will improve their profit margins. After the unexpected second death of a Boeing whistleblower, not only is there speculation over which is more dangerous, being a whistleblower or flying on a Boeing plane, but what the company is really covering up. Stories about violent threats, firings, intimidation, and gaslighting are commonly reported by Boeing subcontractors who have tried to report safety concerns over the company's use of defective parts. Boeing is still under investigation, with a reported 10 whistleblowers remaining. Raytheon is hiding weapons of war and an earthquake-generating device at its South Pole station in Antarctica. But that's not all. The multifaceted directed energy weapons platform dual functions as a passive listening device for faster-than-light communications, and is used to monitor faster-than-light vehicles and off-world captains. The names of the starships in question are not in the currently known Navy. Neither are the names or the ranks of officers and enlisted people on those ships. They do not exist in military files. This would explain where trillions of missing dollars from Pentagon and government also showcase ornate megastructures paired with horse and cart, and the disparity doesn't seem to add up. Throw in the numerous maps depicting Tartary, which is believed to be the real name for Russia, and you get a snowball effect that leads to claims that even the Oregon Trail was staged. Is it Oregon or Oregon? I always get that wrong. If you enjoyed this video,